Hey everybody, Dr. LeGrand here. I am super excited about today's topic as far as helping you guys, if you have ADHD, helping with your sleep. It is a very common problem for people who have ADHD where it could be contributing more of a problem for your ADHD if you have sleep issues. This is a very big contributing factor that I see a lot of my patients. Or you might be a parent that has a child with ADHD and might suspecting that their sleeping schedule might not be the best and they're having some sleeping issues, which can cause brain fog, fatigue, inattention, being distracted, all these kind of things, or being even more hyperactive. So this is something you'll definitely not want to miss on this live stream. Now, if you're watching the replay, whether on YouTube or Facebook, before we get started, also on this live stream, I do have a free guide if you have ADHD for adults, as well as if you're a parent and have a child with ADHD. I'll leave that in the link below or above, depending on which platform you're watching this, either on Facebook or YouTube. So let's go ahead and dive into the real big top recommendations I suggest if you have ADHD and you're having sleep issues. The very first thing that you should be practicing, even if you don't have ADHD, but everybody should be practicing if you have sleep issues, is practicing sleep hygiene. You've probably heard about this, but I cannot stress this enough. You know, when it comes to the brain, what needs to happen is it does need to get dark in order for the brain to release a chemical called melatonin. Now, you probably have heard of this type of thing in a pill, but your body actually naturally does produce melatonin to be able to help you sleep. Once it gets dark out, then the brain starts producing that and it gets you sleepy to be able to fall asleep. Now, that can't happen in this modern era when we actually have a phone in front of our face at night. What you need to do is practice good sleep hygiene by at least 2 hours before bed, being away from screens, especially if you have issues from sleeping. So this is something that you should be practicing. The other thing you should also be doing is our digestive system needs to be at a complete rest when we are sleeping. That can keep us up at night if we're eating too late at night. So at least, again, this also applies by 2 hours before you go to bed, you should not be eating anything. This gives the time for the body to finally finish digesting what it needs to, so it isn't keeping you up at night. The other things that I also do recommend is by, keeping your room completely dark. This does also help produce more of that melatonin, not having too many flashing lights or too much light, or even if your window tends to have light coming in, trying to get a dark drape that can kind of keep the room very dark. This will help quality of sleep and keeping you sleep for longer periods of time. Okay. The second thing that I do recommend is light therapy. So what this is basically using natural light. So either the sun, we're now in the summertime months, but when you're not in the summertime months, there is natural light lamps that you can use, and this helps reset the biological clock. So if you tend to have a really bad sleeping pattern where you don't go to bed until like 3 or 4 in the morning and you tend to sleep in until 12 o'clock, you need to be resetting your biological clock as far as when it comes to sleep. And how you do this is exposing yourself to natural light very first thing in the morning. So you do this for about an hour. So opening up the windows or just walking outside for an hour, reading, a newspaper or book or listening to something as you're being exposed to natural light. The body starts resetting this. So for example, if you're wanting to get up like at 8 o'clock in the morning every morning, making sure you force yourself to get up at 8 o'clock, expose yourself to natural light very first thing for that very first hour from 8 to 9. And then, that will help kind of reset things. Now, the other thing that I also do recommend when it comes to helping with sleep is exercising on a regular basis. This helps keep the blood flow flowing, keeping the blood flow in the brain moving active, as well as, keeping the body healthy. This can help you be more tired at night. Make sure that you're not exercising super late at night. This can kind of stimulate you. So trying to do it more in the morning or afternoon, no later than, I would say 4 or 5 o'clock if you are having issues with falling asleep. The fourth thing that I do recommend is probably something you've already heard about, is melatonin. But there's two types of different melatonin that I want to stress here that a lot of people do not understand when it comes to melatonin. Some people say, oh, I've already tried melatonin. I have lots of patients that will tell me this, that I've tried melatonin and it hasn't worked for me. That's because you need to ask yourself first, do you have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep? There's a big difference here when it comes to sleep issues. You need to ask yourself, and you might have a combination of both. If you have the combination of both, you should be trying something that's called melatonin time release. Or if you have an issue of staying asleep, sleep, that would be using something like melatonin time release. What this does, it releases melatonin throughout the night versus taking just melatonin that just helps you fall asleep. So if you're having issues just falling asleep, then melatonin is something you should be trying for yourself, or if you have a child with ADHD. So the other thing that also, the fifth and last thing that I do recommend for helping you yourself, if you have ADHD or if you have a child that has ADHD, helping with sleep, is using something called L-tryptophan or 5-HTP. Now you do need to check with your doctor first as far as when it comes to, adding different treatment plans, because if you're on different medications, you need to check with them if it's okay to take this. But this is something I do recommend with a lot of my patients. Is L-tryptophan also helps you stay asleep. So that's another type of nutrient that is a precursor to melatonin that helps you stay asleep. So if you're having those issues, trying something like L-tryptophan can be very helpful. The other last thing is 5-HTP. Now this is a great type of supplement that our brain naturally does produce, but sometimes, especially for people who have ADHD, lack producing this enough. And this does help our body to relax. It helps de-stress our body, as well as help us to fall asleep better throughout the night. So you can implement this as well the night before, taking it at night. Same with L-tryptophan. But again, always check in with your doctor first. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Before you guys go, again, I do have my free guide for both people who have adults who have ADHD, as well as if you're a parent that has a child with ADHD. You can check out that free guide that you can download. It goes in depth with all the labs, all the nutrients, supplements, vitamins, all my protocols that I do recommend for people who have ADHD. It's free, so you can either get that link below or above, depending if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. So until next time, this is Dr. LeGrand signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, you guys have an optimal mind. Thanks. Bye.